Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel A in Economist. So in the previous few lectures we have studied about demand, we have gone into the determinants of demand, we have also explained the law of demand, and we have also distinguished between the change in quantity demanded and the change in demand. Now it's time to go into the exceptions to the law of demand. Just to give you a quick recap, what is law of demand? We have said that if the price of the product goes up, the quantity demanded of the commodity will go down if X is a normal good, and if price falls, the quantity demanded will go up. So this is the general norm. This is what we mean by the law of demand if other determinants are kept constant. Now what is exceptions to the law of demand? By the name of it you know that where this particular law is violated, where this inverse relationship doesn't hold. So you have to look for cases where the inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded does not hold. That will give you the exceptions. So let us consider the cases where these exceptions are seen. The first case would be the case of Giffen Good. Now Giffen Good might be something new to you. Now the origination of Giffen Good were something called the Irish potato famine, and this potato famine has a very significant impact, political impact as well as economic impact. If you want to read about this, you can read it, and I will also make a video in some future time about this, but as of now let me give you a brief description of how it all originated. So during the potato famine time in 1800s, so there were only two staple foods for Irish people. So the first food was potato. This was one of their staple foods, and the second food was meat. So Irish people were living on these two foods, right? On these two staple foods. Now as a general norm, the price of potatoes were way lesser than the price of meat. Now what has been seen is that suppose both the prices of potato and the prices of meat falls, when this happens simultaneously, people would decrease their demand for potato and increase their demand for meat. So this is a very strange thing. If you might think that okay, it's a famine situation and earnings of people were very low, so people might be go for the cheaper good, right? So it is the general norm, but what we have seen is that as the price of potato falls, it is a cheaper good from the first place, and now when the price of potato falls, people are demanding less of the potato and they are shifting their demand to meat, which is a normal good, which you can consider as a more superior good than the potato, right? So that is the strange thing that was noticed by Sir Robert Giffen. So according to Sir Robert Giffen, if the price of two commodities rises simultaneously, people will increase their demand for relatively inferior goods. So what we have seen here is that here potato can be considered as an inferior good. That is the reason why as the price of the good falls, but the demand for it also falls. So price and demand are moving in the same direction. The reason is that it is not a normal good. Potato is a inferior good here, and this sort of inferior good is the Giffen good. This is the Giffen good, and there is a distinction between Giffen good and inferior good. They are not the same. We will discuss it in some later videos. As of now, just understand that in case of some inferior goods, Giffen goods are some special cases of inferior goods where the price and the quantity demanded moves in the same direction. So if price falls, the quantity demanded will also fall, and if price rises, the quantity demanded will also rise. So in this case, the demand curve will be positively sloped. So if you draw the price quantity axis, the demand curve will look like this, which is the opposite of what is the case in the usual time, right? So usually the demand curve is downward sloping, but Giffen Good gives you a positively sloped demand curve. So it's a clear violation of the law of demand, right? Okay, so the next point would be the speculative activity. What is speculative activity? By speculation we mean share transaction. So if you have knowledge of share market, you will know that the investors will look for shares which are continuously growing over time. So if a company's share price has performed well over the past years, that reflects the valuation of the company. So if it grows continuously, the investor will be confident enough to invest into that company. They will think that okay, the company is doing well, making profits, the share price are going up, right? So they will be confident enough to invest into that company. So they will purchase the shares of that company. So that is what I have written, that consumers will buy those shares the price of which rises. So when the prices are rising, the consumer will be confident enough to buy that. So in this case also, the price and the demand moves in the same direction. When the price rises, the share demand goes up, right? And it is the other way as well. If the price falls, then the demand for it also falls. So here also, in case of speculative activity, the law of demand gets violated. The third thing is the Veblen effect. What is that? Some people judge the quality of the commodity according to its price. So if you link the quality of the commodity according to its price, then you will always tend to buy high priced commodity because they will reflect higher quality, right? As a consumer, we often do this, right? It is not something hypothetical. It is something that we see in our daily lives, that if you go to the market and if you have two shirts of the, suppose one shirt is cost more than the other, you might feel that okay, this shirt is of made up of higher quality materials, right? So you might give the higher price because you think that the material that is being used in that product is of higher quality. So that is what happens in the Veblen effect. If the price increases, the consumer think that there will be a qualitative improvement of the commodity. So Veblen effect is linking the quality with the associated price. So if you do that, then you always tend to buy the higher priced things. So the demand for it rises. Here also we see that price and demand moves in the same direction. So Veblen effect is mostly seen in case of luxury goods. Suppose you are talking about expensive handbags or iPhones or a Ferrari car or something. So if you will pay higher price for iPhone because you think that it comes with amazing features. That is the result why it is has a higher price. So that is the Veblen effect. Then you have something called the Snob Effect. Some people buy conspicuous goods. Conspicuous means valuable goods just to show off. So some people has this tendency to buy expensive cars or expensive stones, and they will post it in social media and brag their achievement, right? So this show off thing is also very common to us. I hope you have experienced this. So the beauty of these exceptions is that it's not hypothetical. That is the thing I'm repeating again and again, that it's not something that you need to memorize. You see this in daily life, so it's coming out of the daily life experience. The beauty of economics is that it is something which you see every day, and it's very logical as well, that if you want to show off, you will buy expensive things. Why would you buy cheap things? No one will show off buying cheap things, right? So some people buy conspicuous or valuable things just to show off, and thus for them increase in demand for those goods happen when the price of it rises. So here also price and demand moves in the same direction. Fifth point will be the bandwagon effect, which is also sometimes called the demonstration effect. And this is also very interesting, that it's a psychological phenomena, which means that people do something primarily because other people are doing it. The best example would be, suppose you see from your window that your neighbors have bought a smart TV, right? So you might feel very tempted, very jealous that okay, they have bought this TV, so we need to also prove ourselves, right? So this also happens sometimes. We need to prove ourselves. So next day you might also order a smart TV for your home, right? So you are blindly following what the other people are doing. You are not using your common sense. You are just trying to prove yourself. This is the demonstration effect, that what you have seen somewhere, or some of your friend might have bought a smart watch or something very expensive something, and you feel very tempted to do that as well. So next day you might go to your parents and ask them to give you that watch as well. So that is the demonstration effect. You are blindly following your friend or your neighbor or someone whom you admire or whom you trust, right? So it's a psychological phenomena, which means that people are doing something because other people are doing it. You are not following any logic. Because you are seeing that other people are doing this, you are blindly just following them, and this is the bandwagon effect. And then in this case also the law of demand falls, price and demand moves in the same direction. The final case would be the case of essential goods. This case is a little different from the rest of the cases. Here what happens, irrespective of the prices, the quantity demanded stays the same. It does not increase, it stays the same. Suppose take the example of salt. Suppose the price of salt increases. Do you stop eating salt in your diet, in your meals? That is not possible, right? So you will still use salt in your every meal, because salt is an essential good. If you increase the price, if you decrease the price, it doesn't matter. Irrespective of the price, the quantity demanded of salt will be the same. So that is also a violation. And finally, let us summarize everything. What will be the shape of demand curve for Giffen Good, for speculative activity, Veblen effect, Snob effect, and bandwagon effect? For all these cases, the demand curve will be upward sloping. The reason I have explained in detail, that when the price increases, the quantity demanded also increases, right? So price increases from P1 to P2 to P3, the quantity demanded increases X1 to X2 to X3, right? So there is a clear positive association, positive relationship between price and quantity that leads us to the increase in the quantity demanded. So for all these cases that we have explained, the demand curve will be upward sloping. And for the essential goods, particularly for the essential goods, the demand curve will be vertical to the price axis. Why this is the case? Suppose you were consuming, suppose some fixed quantity X bar units of salt when the price was P1. Now even if the price increases to P2 or it increases to P3, you are still consuming X bar units of salt, you are still consuming X bar units of salt. So your quantity demanded is unchanged irrespective of the price level. It can go down, it can go up, the quantity demanded is the same. So that is the essential good case. So this is the exception to the law of demand that can be summarized with these two diagrams. I hope you find this video helpful, and this is all I wanted to say about the demand analysis. In the next video I will in the similar fashion go into the supply analysis, and in subsequent videos we will go into the equilibrium, right? How we can find equilibrium using the demand and supply curves, right? So stay tuned for the next lecture. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do it and give it a thumbs up, and let's meet you in the next lecture. Thank you for your time.